It's a battle for the ages. Viperville versus Suplex City. Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton at WWE SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar will not face a suspension and will be competing at SummerSlam against Randy Orton. After his UFC re-debut and beating Mark Hunt, it was found out that he did fail 2 tests. And he did fail for anti-estrogen, which, fighters or people take to wean off of steroids. Usually. Some people use it for other things, but we're not going to speculate anything because I honestly don't care. I'm looking at Brock as an entertainer, a performer, and some of my favorite performers, let's be honest, we're probably on some juice. That doesn't change my opinion of them, other than, man, I really hope it doesn't affect their health because I truly care about them. The fact that they feel they have to beef up, kind of sucks. But here's the thing. We have Viperville versus Suplex City. Now, when it was first announced, this is a match that, I'd love. Now, it did happen back in, 2003, and it was a squash match before Randy was ever really doing anything. But now we get the true Viper, a true match. Not a squash match, an actual match at SummerSlam. Will Paul Heyman be there? We don't know. I have him ringside because he's going to provide some excellent stuff in this match, and this is actually one of my favorite matches because Brock is going to get so covered in blood that he's just going to break open. Just trust me. It's like a fucking waterfall. I've never seen so much blood in WWE 2K in my life. But the reason that I wanted to really dive in deep to this and talk about everything, man, we're going to talk about, Brock Lesnar failing the test, Brock Lesnar coming into this, whether Paul Heyman will resign, what's going to happen, Brock on the cover, will it affect all this? Because there's so much going on, man. Listen, I think that as a WWE fan, we can be super critical of Brock Lesnar failing a test like this, but at the same time, okay. He was going to fight for his life. I don't know. Would I take steroids if I was about to go fight for my life and possibly die in a cage? I don't know. Has Brock Lesnar not being tested the last couple years basically WWE's way of they just don't give a shit, or it's just true that their wellness policy is only for regular performers? Here's the thing. How can you decide who's regular or part-time if you're an independent contractor? Because independent contractors can't be told what to do. They have to be independent. That's what it is. That's what an independent contractor is. It's like Machinima can't go and tell me hours or tell me what to do because then I'd be kind of an employee. So Brock Lesnar not getting tested, do I necessarily not have a problem with him not getting tested? No. Listen, if I'm being honest with you, I don't want to be hypocritical here. I don't want to be shouting to the fences about Brock Lesnar failing a test. Had he not gone to UFC, we never would have fucking found out about this, and Brock would have continued to do Brock. Brock's living up in Canada. Brock's having a great life. This isn't going to affect him one bit. And I'll be honest with you. If he wanted to get the urge in the cage, you hear guys like Diaz say all the time, everybody's on fucking steroids. These guys are going out there to try to do, bigger and better things. You got guys right now in the WWE, especially after Zack Sabre Jr. was just on the Cruiserweight Classic Wednesday. And there was a huge thing about, wow, I guess you don't even have to be in the gym to be in WWE anymore. Because you don't have to be physical. Man, the wellness policy helped save some lives. MVP had openly said it saved my life because it found a heart condition. The wellness policy is not perfect. WWE, they probably do skirt some things. They've always done it. If you fail a test, they kind of, hold off on giving the results till you do the match and you do your thing. At the same time, it's an entertainment company. It is not real sport. The activity itself is a sport. But let's be honest. Let's not try to kid ourselves that this is an athletic competition. I like when it's presented that way, such as the Cruiserweight Classic. But Brock Lesnar being on some juice, that doesn't fucking affect him in the WWE. It doesn't. Let's just cut that out of the equation right now. I could care less. Brock got popped in the UFC. What happens now, though? You generated this huge buzz for Brock Lesnar at UFC. WWE promoted UFC. UFC promoted WWE. The first time in history, UFC finally got sold the day after Brock Lesnar fought for $4+ billion. It's huge. WWE is not even worth $1.2 billion roughly, so they couldn't even come close to that $4 billion figure. But they basically scratched Dana White's and UFC's back by helping them allow Brock Lesnar to fight and create the biggest fight card, which allowed them to sell the company the next day for $4 billion. So they accomplished their goal. UFC doesn't give a shit about the fact that Brock Lesnar failed the test because look at how many superstars or how many of their athletes have failed and they just don't have any punishment. Mark Hunt has openly came out and criticized this, saying, he wants 50% of the purse. This is bullshit. 3 guys Mark Hunt has faced in the last couple of years ended up failing drug tests. Silva, Mir, and now Lesnar. If you're a fighter in a real athletic competition and they knew ahead of time that you failed a pre-test thing. But the drug tests take a while to come back, whether or not they openly knew, they let him fight. None of this really matters because we're talking Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam. And here's the thing. If Brock Lesnar hadn't got popped, I would say capitalizing on Randy Orton at SummerSlam would be a huge opportunity. Brock could, keep that momentum going. But here's the other thing. Brock could also come in as a heel and not give a fuck. Let's honestly think about this. We love Brock right now. We're a Suplex City. That's what we're at. We're cheering Brock. When he comes out, he's a good guy again. When he first came back, he was a bad guy against Cena, even though some people fucking loved it. And then people just kind of went to him, and he became Suplex City, and we started cheering him and loving Brock Lesnar. And then that happened. But that doesn't necessarily change anything that he's done in WWE. It doesn't affect me in any way. Man, if you want to get some man boobs with anti-estrogen or you want to do your thing, that's on you, Brock. I want to see some motherfuckers suplexed in the middle of that ring. And here's the thing. I'm excited that Brock's in the cover. I'm excited that Suplex City is a thing because Suplex City is a big deal. I mean, Suplex City has become kind of this phenomenon. I love seeing Brock suplex Dean Ambrose, John Cena, Seth Rollins. He doesn't even have to win. Brock just has to go out there and do Brock. But with everything that's happened so far regarding the tests and the promotion and everybody thinking WWE would do something, now would be a great opportunity for Viperville to show how dominant he really fucking is. I mean, let's look at it this way. Brock Lesnar is a draw. Brock Lesnar is one of the most decorated combat athletes. He really is the real deal. Regardless, I don't give a shit. My favorite time in baseball history was Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, early 2000s, late 90s, where the dingers were just going off. The Mark McGwire era, I fucking love that. We find out now that in a real athletic competition that it was unfair. Most of them were on the juice. And, that's where all that power came from. And we look at it from a sport perspective and we kind of criticize them. But that was my favorite time to watch, man. I fucking love when Sammy Sosa was nailing dingers and they were going on home run streaks. Because as a baseball and softball player, man, that's what I looked up to. I didn't look up to the juice or, put a needle in my ass. But hey, it is what it is. Viperville, Randy Orton, RKO out of nowhere. It's only going to take one. Unless Paul Heyman's ringside. And then some distractions could happen. In this match, Randy Orton now is, he's in a position where he could finally win. I see Randy Orton being in a position where before that test, WWE should have definitely capitalized on the momentum from Brock Lesnar at UFC. But Brock Lesnar is not going to go back to fight at the UFC. Let's say this ban from UFC is, he's not going to fight for the next year in the UFC or 2 years. He's banned or whatever. Randy Orton could win. If there's a chance of Brock Lesnar, even though he failed the test, coming back and fighting in the UFC again, I don't know if people would be willing to accept it this time, knowing that he failed the test. But there could be a huge box office draw for him to continue being a UFC and WWE superstar. Other guys have failed tests and they've continued to fight. It is what it is. If Brock Lesnar were to continue to fight in the UFC or have a big role, I'm all for him picking up the victory at SummerSlam. But this is also the closest I've gotten in the ring at a 10 count ever in this video game. Look at this. 9. I thought I was getting counted out. At the 10, he gets back in. Oh, my God. I thought this match was going to be wrecked and ruined right there. Randy Orton, Viperville, RKO, what a huge victory it would be. Because let's be honest, Brock's going to stay a part-timer. Brock has no reason to be on the road. If I'm Brock Lesnar, I'm up in my farm. I'm having fun. I don't fucking need to be on the road constantly with WWE. I've made my money. I continue to make money. I'm all good, right? If that's the case, maybe dropping an L to Randy Orton and all this confusion, you can brush it off as him coming back. All this shit going on with UFC, it got in my head. Paul Heyman not at ringside. You could have the loss happen because maybe Brock Lesnar wasn't there and Brock was on his own. You can brush off a Brock Lesnar loss. But the push of Randy Orton beating Brock, the guy that's going to be at the company, at the live events every single week, the guy that's going to be on the TV show every single week, this is the one time, based on the recent events that have happened, that I actively believe that the person facing Brock Lesnar should win. I didn't think Dean Ambrose should beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I didn't. I absolutely did not think that. I didn't think that Seth Rollins should have beat him. I didn't think, I think that when Brock really is booked like that at Suplex City, does he necessarily have to win? No, he just has to deliver that fucking beating because that's what you're paying for. That's what you want to see. That's what Brock Lesnar is. Like I said, those suplexes, Man, he really got an extra inch on those suplexes with those steroids, man. They should have been tested. Does it matter? Does that affect you in any way, shape, or form in a sport like WWE? Now, if you are a UFC or a fight fan, hey, I get you're being upset at Brock Lesnar. As a WWE fan, the greats over the years, let's be honest here. But because of that, I honestly, if I'm looking at this, I mean, I don't care either way. I would give Randy Orton the victory. I would put this in a category where you have Brock Lesnar right now, who had the biggest promotion, had the best crossover. It was something that we didn't think would happen. We did not think WWE and UFC would work together. You know, when Ronda Rousey showed up at WrestleMania, we all went, what the Vince hates the UFC. He wouldn't even let CM Punk appear at the UFC. RKO out of nowhere to Paul Heyman. I wish he would have stayed down for the whole match. I wish managers would sell it like that. That should be a feature in a new game. Managers should stay down. But here's the thing. With everything that's happened, Brock Lesnar could easily throw off a loss. He just suplex after suplex after suplex after suplex, but Randy doesn't care. Randy RKOs. Maybe Randy Orton pulls out the punt kick. Maybe Randy pulls that out with no enhancement needed. Because they're on different shows. Randy's on SmackDown, Brock's on Raw. It doesn't fucking matter who gets the victory. It's going to be a one-time thing. Brock, I would be okay with him winning. I'd be okay with Randy winning. Because the crossover promotional hype for Brock Lesnar is huge. It really is. It went viral for 4 days. The fact that Brock failed the test. It was like the number one trending topic. That had to get some WWE attention. If I'm Randy Orton now, like I said, the guy that's going to be on the show every single week, that's the guy I want to pick up the victory. That's the guy where you can logically look at this as Brock has had so much shit on his plate. You know, we understand a loss. That's just the way it is. We understand the loss after everything that he went through, and then they could maybe fight later down the road. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Before the whole thing happened, I thought Randy Orton was going to just get squashed. I thought he put up a fight. I didn't think he would, lose without putting up a fight. But I thought, man, that promotion from the UFC is the best thing going. And what a big deal it would be as a blow in the face. Imagine if he did get that victory at UFC. There was nothing wrong at all. He comes over to WWE. All the UFC fans come over to watch him lose to Randy Orton and put Randy Orton over. Had none of this happened, would WWE have been smarter to put Randy Orton over then over the best combat athlete? Or now, are people going to look at Randy Orton's victory as, well, I want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on this, man. There's a lot of different views on this. Does anything that the failed test in the UFC, does that change your opinion on Brock at all? Or do you realize that this is entertainment? It really doesn't matter. And honestly, you just want to see the match between these two. Would you have rather seen a match between somebody else and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam? Let me know in the comment section below, guys. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, it's your boy Tubby Emu and Randy Orton. Man, this is your shot, Viperville. Send Brock Lesnar back to Suplex City. Throw that RKO on, clutch it down, pull him down, get that victory. And then, I'm ready for the Viper. Until next time, we will see you all later.